outside the off stump. Oh, he's caught it! I don't believe it! Tom Kohler-Cadmore has caught the most magnificent catch. That short third man is the end of Daniel Sams, and Somerset have won the Vitality Blast 2023. They've bowled Essex out for 131.
Good evening, you're listening to Always Look on the Bright Side of Life. This is the Somerset Cricket Podcast. My name's Ian Shepherd, and joining me this evening to discuss the Always Look on the Bright Side of Life Metro Bank One Day Cup campaign, I've got Head of Digital for Somerset County Cricket Club, Ben Warren, and the voice of cricket on BBC Radio Somerset, Anthony Gibson. Well, a couple of weeks ago, I think I asked us all, what does success look like in the One Day Cup this year? Because it was pretty evident that, you know, based on the side that we had last year, only winning one game, and a side that was kind of comparable in standard this year, that winning it was going to be a very, very tall order for Sean Dixon and his men. But do we think the side have they surpassed expectations? Have they met expectations, or have they failed to meet expectations?
Well, Sean Dixon said to me after the Gloucestershire debacle that he'd settled for 2 wins out of the last 3 games, and that's what they've secured. And I think, considering everything, to win 3 games is not a bad performance at all. And, clearly something needs to be done about this competition. It is not satisfactory in its present form, but, the lads have done their best. Mm-hmm. They've anti-proud to the extent of their abilities.
Quite literally, lads, in a few cases.
Yeah, I think winning 3 is, obviously last year only won 1, so there is progress there, and I felt that the coaches got just about the best out of what they had available, and no one's let Somerset down in that 8 games. Everyone's got something from it. So, I don't think. I think there's always a hope when you go into a tournament that you never know. It's only 8 games. If you win a couple early and momentum and all that, and you could end up fighting for the knockout stages. That didn't happen, of course. But 3 wins is something to build on for championship running and to go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's always going to be difficult to plan for this competition because you don't know who you're going to lose. It's very difficult to get overseas in with the schedule. I mean, Curtis Campher for 5 games. I thought, I think his batting was certainly a lot more of a stronger suit than his bowling, where he was. What did he get? 8 wickets at 47, but he did pick up 193 runs through his 5 games at 38.6, including that 1 century. It was. I think all the young lads did well. That was asked. I think JT Langridge, it was probably just a little bit too early for him, even to sort of just be coming in the sort of the rookie mould. The Thomas brothers, I quite like Josh as a bowler.
Do you?
I do.
He didn't bowl very well yesterday.
Because he's 18, Anthony. I keep telling you.
I know he is, but you look at some of the other 8. Derbyshire had a 16-year-old, Harry Moore, who opened the bowling for them. Now, he's a real prospect. Josh Thomas has played a few games now, and he did not bowl well yesterday, under not very much pressure. And to be fair, George Thomas, in all honesty, has not batted particularly well. What is his highest score? 41.
41, averaging 16.7.
Yeah, I think that would be the one kind of, I guess, regret for some of the youngsters. But I think that some of them have no one's let anyone down, and they've all sort of in their ways. But no one's really taken the opportunity and said, "I'm a star of the future," or this is made themselves in contention for Championship cricket. Or I think there's been some promise. And George Thomas, I think, is a really good example of that, because top score 41 on paper, You'd said he's had a pretty poor tournament. He's contributed with the ball now and again, but when you watch him back, there's so much to like about it. When he's in, and he plays some lovely shots. And there's a lot.
Didn't play a lovely shot yesterday.
Well,
he one-footed waft in the first over. It was cool. Cool.
Yeah, I think clearly there's a lot to like about what he's got in terms of talent, but it'd have just been nice if he'd gone on and got a big score. Really showed everyone that he has matured, because he did get 70 odd a couple of years ago, didn't he? He was injured last year.
First game he got 75 against Leicestershire.
Yeah, so it's not as if he's like a youngster anymore. And I think it would have been nice to see him go on and get at least one score during the tournament. But I think that's the same for a lot of them, really. A lot of sort of solid performances. No one, still a lot of people think they've got a lot of talent, but it would have been nice to just see a couple of more standout performances from people that weren't named Andy Umeed.
Yeah, we'll come on to the great Andy Umeed in a second. Lewis Goldsworthy was he only played 5 games. He was sort of in and out of the side with injury. He's kind of fits the mould sort of perfectly. What you were saying, Betty. He sort of seems like he had a quiet tournament, but he ended up averaging 50. I suppose one of the reasons for that might be his strike rate of just down at 71, which isn't, it's not phenomenal in white ball cricket these days. So he just kind of accumulated runs at the top of the order, batting 3. Bartlett is another funny one as well for me as well, because they obviously had to get him in the team, and I think he was just massively out of position there, down at 6.
Yeah. He would have been much better at 3.
Yeah,
much better at 3.
And maybe because I suppose they wanted a hitter type batter at the top of the order, which is why George Thomas was up there. So again, you can kind of excuse him a few failures if his role is to go out there and try and get us off to a flyer. So it's difficult. I thought his bowling was probably better than his batting. It's funny to say that he sort of slowed that Gloucester innings down after about the 9th or 10th over, but he did come on, and it just seemed to just dry things up a little bit. He finished with 6 wickets at 29.5, only going at 5.5 and over, which is not bad going as well. One sad thing I did realise about this one day cup campaign is my little girl Layla on Sunday. She's got every Somerset player's autograph virtually on her cap, some 3 or 4 times. And now we couldn't go because we had to get the Hygos flappy thing signed. So waiting for there. And Jack Brooks was chatting, and he kind of what he was saying. It's probably going to be his last season, which means that we have probably had Jack Brooks' final game at Taunton, which I think is it kind of just sort of drifted by until I sort of realised that it was like, oh yeah, of course this could be, because we've obviously only got the Kent game left as our final championship home game. He's maybe not going to play in that one if everybody's fit. So it's a bit like Hildy, really, a bit of a sad way to bow out what's been a pretty decent Somerset career for the chap.
Yeah, he's a lovely bloke. He honestly hasn't contributed a huge amount on the field of play, but he's very, very popular. He's a good influence in the dressing room. Lovely bloke. And it was good to see him giving a bit of advice to the young fast bowlers. It'd be sorry if he doesn't get. I don't want to say he ought to be picked for the game against Kent, because I think if they all stay fit, I don't think he gets into the first choice 11. But it wouldn't be a complete disaster if one of them did have a bit of a niggle, and he came back in and was able to wave his farewells on the field of play.
Yeah, because he's been more of a. Well, I'd say he's been more of a championship bowler. I remember that spell against Warwickshire last year where the crowd were applauding rhythmically as he was coming into bowl, and we turned that game around and seemed like
his finest hour was against Surrey at Guildford in, what was that then, 2019?
Yeah. Yeah,
when he took 5 and bowled us to victory on the last afternoon against a pretty decent Surrey side. I mean, he was good against Warwickshire, but he was even better, I thought, against Surrey at Guildford. And it'd be interesting to ask him what he thinks is his best performance for Somerset. But I suspect that would be it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Guild, because there was some Somerset were under pressure on the third evening. I believe. Dean Elgar and Roy Burns were doing quite well in that third evening. And into that fourth day, he removed Elgar and went through the middle order of Surrey on a pretty decent pitch.
On a decent pitch, yeah. He won us that game against a good Surrey side.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so hopefully we do get to say a proper farewell to Jack Brooks, but I fear that we may have already seen the last of... Oh, a fly's just flown into my eye there. How's that going on? We may have seen the last appearance of the Ferret of the Cadger Ground, but you never know. He may carry on next year and confound all expectations. So, right. We've built up to this for the last 10 minutes now. Shall we talk about Andy Umeed's frankly ridiculous run of form in this One Day Cup campaign? Sit down then. 613 runs in 8 games, an average of 87.57, striking at 97.45, a highest score of 172 not out, the 4th highest in Somerset's List A history. 300s, 250s, 52 fours, and 17 sixes, most of them with an elegant straight drive back over the bowler's head to make the purists purr. Where the bloody hell has this come from?
Well, I tell you one other thing you've forgotten. He's second in the bowling averages as well.
Oh, he's second. Yeah, well, we're going to come on to that.
With 3 wickets, 3 for 31, going at 10.33. And you know who's first in the bowling averages?
Josh Davey.
So we've got the first 2 in the bowling averages, which is quite ironic when you think of some of the totals we've conceded during the course of this campaign.
2 Scotsmen as well.
Andy Umeed, lovely bloke.
It was a Hail Mary from Sean Dixon on that sort of as the game was drifting against Glamorgan. They were cruising to victory, and then all of a sudden Andy Umeed just gave the side a bit of a sniff. But Glamorgan getting home in the end pretty easily on Sunday. It's just such a.
He had a bit of luck early on. He played and missed a lot against Worcester when he got. That was his first 100, wasn't it? And but once he settled into it, he just seemed to grow in confidence. And he didn't play. He didn't give a chance yesterday at all against Derbyshire, and he didn't play and miss as much as he has done in the early overs in his previous innings. And it's no disgrace to play and miss against the white ball in the first half a dozen overs, because it does do a bit. After that,
and you're trying to score as well. It's not as if you've got the option of leaving the ball, because they'll be tearing their hair out on the balcony, so get on with it.
But no, I think he's earned his chance in the county championship. How effective he will be remains to be seen.
It was a phenomenal. I think confidence is the word, isn't it? Because you see game by game how he's sort of grown in confidence. I mean, cricket is weird, isn't it? I mean, if you wind the clock back 3 weeks, he scored 0 against Devon, 0 against Cornwall, 4 against Gloucester, and people were out saying in a team where we had no real replacements, they should be dropped. So it's really remarkable what then transpired. But every knock he had, he got more assured. I think remember that 6 he hit at Northampton.
Yeah, fantastic shot. Yeah.
Whereas that seemed to sort of really kind of give him more confidence in his ability to go over the top. And I think after he's scored a lot of runs, but actually strike rate got higher and higher as he seemed to go through the tournament. And it's going to be really interesting. Just definitely earn himself a place in the county championship. Long term, is he going to be the person that helps us? In that top order, but we just don't know. but he certainly earned himself the opportunity, and fair play to him, because.
Who are you going to drop then, Ben? Dixon or Lammonby, or both?
Wow. Yes. I mean, I might
I'll
have
spare Ben the embarrassment of having to that. I was just going to, I was going to make the point you made, Ben, about he cut, like I say, that comical run out he had at Devon at Bobby Tracy with George Thomas, another blob against Cornwall, low score against Warwickshire, just cut such a forlorn figure, dragging himself off, and he's obviously thinking, oh God, I've got like 8 or 7 games now to try and save my career, basically, to try and earn myself a new contract. And the way that he's done it is, it wasn't just 300s, 250s as well, don't forget. So from those 7 innings, he's passed 50 in 5 of them. Another thing as well, I think, is when you join a team, join whether it's a new club, new county, or even working in the normal world, if you like, until you sort of perform and you show your teammates that you're capable of it and you win games for your club, I feel like you don't quite feel like you're properly part of the team yet. And now he can sort of walk around with that bit of swagger, say that, well, roll off, I beat your, I've got the highest list A score in the club at the moment, my friend. You can eclipse your 160 odd against Surrey from a few years back, and he's on the list, 4th amongst the likes of Botham and Trescothick and that sort of thing. So that's got to be a huge confidence boost for a player. And I think you're absolutely right, Gibbo. He's got to play for in the championship match in a week or so's time. Else, what's the point?
Yeah. But that still begs the question, to which I haven't had an answer yet, which is who makes way for him. I think I'd put him in first with Dixon and move Lammonby down the order. I think that would be the obvious thing to do.
But then, who does Lammonby come in for, or who does Lammonby displace lower down the order?
Well, good question.
Who'd be a selector?
Bartlett, isn't it? Who have we got?
Bartlett's done well. Bartlett's got a couple of hundreds this year. You can't.
He's so in and out, though, isn't he? He's so inconsistent.
Well, he has been more in than out this year.
I mean,
we will have another chance to do. We are going to do a pod before the Hampshire game, but we might as well.
My only worry about Umeed is he does go quite hard at the ball, and he's a front foot player, and I just wonder how he's going to get on against Kyle Abbott and Mohammed Abbas.
Yeah, that is the danger.
Which is the red ball. Because, once after about 8 overs, those white kookaburras do nothing at all. And the batsman could just knock it around, and the odd bad ball gets hit for 4 or 6. It's easy money. It's a very boring form of cricket, 50 over cricket, the way it's being played at the moment. It's, yesterday, Umeed batted really, really well. But the Derbyshire last wicket pair put on 80 odd. Because the ball was doing nothing and it was a flat pitch. So, but as I said, I keep saying he's earned his chance. He should be given his chance to see what he can do.
Yeah. For
the first. I think it would be a terrible shame if he wasn't given his chance, especially given the fact that, Lammonby and Dixon are hardly the most successful opening partnership in the county championship.
Lammonby hasn't batted for a month, which again exposes, one of the more ridiculous aspects of the 100 is you can say you're best versus best, but then you're not quite best of the best are sat getting splinters up their arse for a month.
It's a really interesting prospect, that potentially could in the future, this may well be a little bit far-fetched, but a player really lose out by going to the 100 in terms of their long-term career. In terms of, Tom Lammonby, I'm sure will come back, and he's a good player, and I'm convinced that he will
so much
go on and represent Somerset and continue to hopefully make a really good career out of it. But it's not beyond the wit that a player could go to the 100, miss out on their county, and then come back in bad form, and it could unravel. So it is quite an interesting one. Essentially, I don't know what Tom Lammonby's thoughts are right now, but if I were Tom Lammonby, I'd be deeply concerned having someone who is in an effect competition for my spot 4-day side go out there and score a load of runs whilst I'm sat on the bench doing not a lot. And whether, and maybe Tom Lammonby was desperate to come back and play for Somerset during the one-day cup, and then it was a decision that was made by other parties. We'll never know. But
I think the days was it just never quite worked, did it, for him to come back? There was that stuff about an injection, and then you can't play on the same day as your franchises played, and I think the originals played yesterday at the same time we were up at Derby, so it was kind of contrived circumstances, which meant he wasn't able to come back, even if he had wanted to, or was able to.
Whether he was able to or not, it still must have been concerning. Obviously he'd like to be playing in the 100, but I think it was pretty obvious from ball one that he wasn't going to get a 100 gig unless they were injured in the original team due to his form in the Blast, when he wasn't in the Blast team. So, yeah, I just think that it would be really challenging for Tom Lammonby to be up in Manchester for a month, not batting and knowing that competitor for your spot is scoring a lot of runs. So it'd be very interesting to see what happens when he comes back and if he plays and what the effect of having a month off will do. Maybe it'll rejuvenate him. He wasn't a great nick, so he's refreshed and ready to go.
Was there a second 11 game between now and the start? That Hampshire game was it the 3rd of September? It kicks off the Judicious Bowl, isn't it? So is there any second 11 cricket between now and then?
Good question. I'm not sure, as you understand.
I'd be surprised if there wasn't, because there is sort of a free week between that sort of bank holiday to the. So what's it start the Sunday? Yeah, so next week there's hardly any cricket. There's a Royal London semi-final on Tuesday. I don't think there's much more apart from that, so I'll be surprised if there wasn't a decent chunk of second 11 cricket. There was last year, so I'd be very shocked if the schedule isn't repeated again this year. I was trying to do my side for Hampshire, and I feel like I've forgotten half the players that we had. The way that the 100 just disrupts everything. But I've gone Umeed, Dixon, Abel, Bartlett, TKC, Rue, Gregory, Overton, Wagner, Bashir, and then is Aldridge fit?
I don't know. There isn't a second team game between now and next one's on September the 4th.
All right, fair enough. So Davey / Aldridge probably.
Davey looked reasonably fit yesterday.
I'd probably go.
I mean, he bowled really well. He's the old Josh Davey in his opening spell, but then he wasn't brought back until right at the end, which suggested to me that he's still being looked after fairly carefully. So he's but he looked like the Josh Davey of old. Bowled very well.
Cool. I'd probably go him ahead of Aldridge if Aldridge was fit. I think he's a bit of a better suit to that GS Bowl pitch, Josh Davey. And who would our second spinner be if we went for it? Lewis Goldsworthy? I presume Jack Leach isn't going to be risked again this year, so.
Well, Andy Umeed.
Roll off. Oh yeah, I suppose.
Demon bowler.
Was he trying to? It didn't just look like he was bowling little rollers. It didn't look like he was really trying to give it a big tweak against Glamorgan.
No, he bowled all right.
Shows what pressure does to you, I suppose. What else on the Metro about one day cup? Well, James Rue had a bit of a quiet tournament by his sort of lofty standards early on in his career. I mean, they weren't disgraceful numbers by any stretch of the imagination, averaging 29.8 from his 8 games, 239 runs. Did score 100. I I don't think there's any cause for concern there, really. There was a comical run out with Umeed against Glamorgan. You know, he was out playing a couple of big shots late on, so don't think anything really to be concerned about in that respect.
We've got a couple of slightly interesting LBW decisions as well. But I guess one thing I probably would say about James Rew and the way that Somerset have set up is that, and I mentioned it on the pod a couple of weeks ago about us playing sort of mid-2000s 50-over cricket and the way they sort of go about their business. And I know he did increase his strike rate as he went on, but it was still a very kind of set a base and a platform and then plunder from the last 10, which cricket's probably moved on a bit since those days, but they've had to play the jigsaw pieces that they had to fit in, you know, so they've had to play that type of cricket. Lewis Goldsworthy and Andy Umeed often did put on a good partnership, but I think what that did is that meant when James Rew was coming in, he was almost forced to overhit and play over aggressive to kind of try and make it, particularly at Taunton. You know, he got that 100 at Taunton, but I think he was out a lot of times playing aggressive shots rather than being sort of got out by a bowler. So I think he had it's he's still very new to white ball cricket as well. But yeah, I wouldn't be overly concerned about his form. I think he got in a lot and then got out trying to up the run rate. So
he got himself out, didn't he? Yeah.
So that's one of those things.
Yeah, again, it's similar with George Bartley. You can't really judge his campaign because he was batting out of position down at 6. It's just not his game coming in. And
he must have batted well up at Durham, which I didn't see, but in Northumberland. He must have batted well there. But it's just a lousy format, the way it's being played at the moment. 50 over.
I suppose they are trying to. They're trying to beef up the middle overs by sticking the extra, letting you have the extra man out in the last 10, aren't they?
I know, but it doesn't make any difference to the way the batsmen play. The bowlers can't take wickets, and the batsmen can go along at 6 runs and over, 6 or 7 and over, without taking any risks. Just knocking it around because there are plenty of gaps in the field. Get bad ball, hit it for 4 or 6. It's just really boring. I think they just need to rethink the whole sort of 50 over concept, and the easiest thing to do would be to replace the 2 white kookaburras with 1 red Dukes. That gives the bowlers a chance of taking wickets in those early overs, rather than the kookaburras going soft. And it doesn't matter who you are, even the really good bowlers can't take wickets in the middle overs unless the batsman makes a mistake. It just doesn't do anything. It's soft and comes off the wicket. I
suppose what they're trying to do is, and I do get this, and they want to see the crowd want to see boundaries, don't they? Boundaries, not necessarily all the time, but they want to see 6s and 4s, and we were on the end of a few 400 scores this year, but I think generally that's the modus operandi, what they're trying to do by having the white kookaburra ball, which is easier to play, which then leads to scores of 325, 350 being par. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think if it 250 being a difficult chase is still a great game of cricket. I mean, just look back at finals day, 2 really low scoring games were 2 of the best games of T20 I've ever seen in my life. I probably would have been saying that if they'd gone the other way against Somerset, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I think it's I think the 400 scores. I think it's the bowling gets a lot more attention when you lose a lot of your bowlers. I think teams genuinely have batting stocks across the country that can. There are lots of batting stocks that young players can come in and score runs. Is what I'm trying to say. I think bowlers is very difficult. Given what Anthony was saying with the circumstances around the pitch, young bowlers. Actually, Warwickshire are probably one of the only examples, and they've had the likes of Hannah Dolby and the like that have gone on and done really well, and I think that's why they've done so well, is because they've had the experienced, capable bowlers that have helped them through. But it's not easy when you're bowling young bowlers in the middle overs, young spinners, young. It's been more difficult for them, I think, than it is for a young batter to come out and play a few shots and look good.
Yeah, I mean, case in point was Shoaib Bashir. He had probably the most disappointing campaign of all the young Somerset players. Just picking up 3 wickets in the 7 games he played, averaging just shy of 100 with the ball, and going at 6.5 and over.
But it's not his fault.
No, I know he's. I mean, well, as I said to you, sort of, was it Sunday night, Gibbo? That when he's 19, you've got to chuck him in all 3 formats and see how they settle.
They really cannot play the One Day Cup alongside the 100 ever again. It just devalues the whole blooming competition. If we're going to have a franchise tournament, whether it's the 100 or a hybrid between the 100 and the Blast, you can't play anything alongside it, because whatever you play alongside it is going to be devalued. If we're going to have a One Day Cup, it should be played early in the season as a knockout with counties with their full sides, and particularly, as Ben was saying, their full bowling complements. Because it's the bowling really that's been the weakness, compounded by using the 2 white Kookaburra balls, which is a complete nonsense. So, the whole thing needs rethinking. The whole fixture of this needs rethinking. But you cannot play the One Day Cup alongside the 100. It just makes a nonsense, of the whole thing. It really has not been an enjoyable tournament to watch. And I've watched 7 out of the 8. And, I've seen mountains of runs scored, but apart from Prithvi Shaw at Northants, it was something else. Bobby Bracey's innings of 224 at Bristol, I can hardly remember a single shot.
It was men against boys, wasn't it? You want to see a contest, don't you? And if you're not seeing a contest, it doesn't matter how many runs you score, wickets you're taking. If it's not a contest, if you've not earned that by playing well, it's.
I mean, Pujara at Taunton, he just knocked it around and picked up hit the occasional boundary, and it was sort of inevitable. It was remorseless, but it wasn't entertaining. I feel sorry for the crowds having to watch. When you look back at the sort of one day cricket that we used to see back in the old days, the Benson Hedges and the Nat West and what have you, there was a real excitement about it. When you got Mike Proctor charging in to bowl to Vivian Richards, it was that was something else, and when we're not going to get that atmosphere, that excitement back, unless counties are playing their full sides in that competition. And if they're not playing their full sides, you might as well not play it at all. It's not worth it.
The contrary to, I'm not in disagreement. I guess the contrary to that is that these 450 over games we've had at Taunton, sort of with my commercial head on, we've had record ticket sales. And
we have, but will they come back next year?
Well, we said that last year.
I was going to say this year was infinitely better than last year.
Yeah, but there's no other cricket at Taunton.
Well, yeah. I mean, what we've had to do is kind of make the cricket not secondary. That's a bit derogatory, but we've had to put on events outside of cricket to encourage people to attend, and that's been very successful. We've had lots of families coming to school holidays, and it's great. Obviously, it would be even better if we were playing if they were watching their heroes play, and more of their heroes, shall I say? But I think we've certainly benefited in some respects by having competition during the school holidays, because it's enabled us to have lots of kids come down and experience it for the first time. But yeah, you're right. The danger of that is that how sustainable is it? How sustainable is it for us to keep getting people to come back? We've got to do other things outside of cricket to help market that. But we honestly don't know how sustainable that is.
Yeah, well, as a parent as well as a Somerset fan, I thought the family day on Sunday was great. Can we not have the face painter next year though? Just purely because first time we queued up in the morning just before I was due to come on commentary, I was kind of thinking, we're not going to make it this year. So I was like 25 minutes in the first queue, and then roll forward to the afternoon, 45 minutes again. Or maybe keep the face painter And just me sort of being invisible old git for queuing. But yeah, it was all great. The little the armadillo was back, although he was in his house when we had a let. But yeah, is it Chris, the animal guy? He was great. All the stuff going on is fantastic, and we actually spent a lot more time watching the cricket than I thought we would, as well. So that was great. I
think people are taking it for what it is, and I think that that's fantastic. We're going to continue to drive experiences during the school holidays, and that revolves around cricket, but it's not all about the cricket. So yeah, I think that's the way forward for us. As we're dealt with the card that we've been dealt with, we'll see what happens in the future.
Gibbo appears to have frozen. He's frozen a very stern expression. He's almost sort of peering down the lens at myself and Ben. I assume he's frozen and he's not just silent in disapproval. It was good fun. Good fun on Sunday. Not so much trying to commentate with my kids bickering in the commentary box, but go with it. It was all fun, and I'm sure. Was it audible on the no? Oh, that's good. All right, fair dues then. That's good. Hey, Gibbo, are you? I'm sure Gibbo's going to join us.
Here I am.
Are you back?
I am.
Oh, good stuff. All right, you're still frozen in your kind of disapproving, staring pose, but we should crack on. But we can hear you. Rightio then. Right. Right then, anything more on the old always look on the bright side of life for all London Metro Bank, Dave D, Dozy, Beaky, Mick and Titch One Day Cup? Or should we move on?
I just think that it's very interesting how some of those players that played in the 2019 Royal London Cup final have now gone 4 years, some of them, without playing a list day game in cricket.
Yeah,
and
it's bizarre.
By the time the next competition rolls around, there'll be players that lifted that trophy. And I know Tom Abel played for the Lions, Tom Banton played
Will Speed as well, yeah.
But the players there that haven't played a list day cricket for half a decade when the next season rolls around, it's now enough time has elapsed to have a significant impact. Half a decade of no 50 over cricket for a group of professional athletes.
Yeah. How much of a future does 50 over cricket have, though?
I mean, here's a thought experiment for you then. Would you rather go and watch Somerset at Taunton play side X in 2 25 over games or 1 50 over game?
2 25 over games.
I'd probably say the latter as well.
I think T20 is quite just
Yeah,
it works. So
you'd rather get your 100 overs, because I'm just thinking about going in and having a nice long day at the cricket. Having a half an hour break, whatever, for lunch, and being able just to go into town and a little walk around and then come back and not miss too much of the game and have that kind of long, relaxing day, if you like, rather than the bang bang off you go home of T20 cricket. So I don't know. Would that work? Have we solved the puzzle? The double-headed 25 over cup.
Quick, get trademark.
Richards, Gould and Harrison, Gibbo, you're a connected man. Ben, you're even more connected. Send me their emails. I'll write this down tonight and send it up. But seriously,
I think
is that
I don't know.
Is that halfway? I don't know. It's maybe not. Who knows?
I think we should go back to the B&H model and have sort of mini groups.
The groups, yeah. Because then you're getting your guaranteed home games.
Get it all over by, before the Test series starts, so that counties have got their full complement of players. I mean, the B&H worked really well.
Stop saying B&H, Gibbo. I'm quitting smoking at the moment, and it's you're giving me pangs. The old group competition, right? Leaving that alone for the moment, then. Oh, there was one more thing. Oh, have you all been enjoying the Umemes I've been sticking out on Twitter?
Yes.
Ben, are they not of sufficient quality and thing to retweet from the official club account, or I'll leave that question unanswered. Right. The trouble is now, with all the likes for the memes, I'm going to struggle to find your questions in my Twitter notifications, but I will do my utmost to quickly find
It was a good
them.
one from Kit Harris.
Oh, about Anya Shrubsole.
Yeah.
Have you got that one right? You quickly read that out while I grab a gold out the fridge, Gibbo.
Well, I haven't got it in front of me, but Kit went through all of the achievements of Anya Shrubsole, and she is retiring. And she's played up, loads and loads of times for Somerset and England. And his question was, is there a stand or a building or something at the county ground that could be named after her? Because Kit suggests, by implication, that she deserves it. And I wouldn't disagree with that.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with that as well. I mean, what's...
Yeah, she, she's a World Cup winner. She won England the World Cup, didn't she, in 2020? Yeah, she's been at Western Storm for a period. Left Somerset, didn't she, after a few years? She hadn't been a Somerset player for a few years. But yeah, absolutely. I
was thinking one of the 5 bays of the Somerset stand, possibly.
Yeah, there's a lot.
One of the 2 family stands.
Yeah, there's a lot that remains sort of unnamed, isn't there?
Because one's the Ondarchie stand and is one the Ondarchie family stand.
Yeah, I mean,
there's already the Ondarchie pavilion, so you can't...
He's already, Sir Christopher has got his pavilion.
And his 2 stands, so we can, we could Tipex that out. So, yeah, we could potentially have either or both of the family stands. What about the commentary cabin, Gibbo, or the rustic bus shelter?
No, that's going to. They're earmarked for certain somebody else.
Oh, fair enough. Well, the rustic bus shelter is probably down the tip at the moment, so.
No, well, it's disintegrated.
Oh, is it?
Didn't you hear about that? When on that, what is it? I can't remember which storm it was, but it was one of the storms, and it blew over for the 3rd time, and the 3rd time it was unlucky because it disintegrated when it hit the stanchion behind it. So the rustic bus shelter is no more.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Is it in pieces?
It is.
Well.
I don't know where it's gone. It's probably on they made a bonfire of it, I think.
Well, Spencer could use it as a splint. I gather he's got a bit of a bad leg at the moment. He's twisted his ankle and maybe fractured it or something.
Not in a good way.
How's he got to make it up the stairs to the press box? Is there going to have to be some sort of?
Well, we might. He's not in a good way, Spence. For bloke, we obviously wish him well. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll drop him an email wishing him well.
Right, I think I have found our first question. I may be wrong.
There's like a tab on Twitter where you can change it to mentions, if that helps.
Oh, you're a pro, Ben. No, it's just there were even more the Andy memes. Right, the Railway Walker. This is a good question. Andy Umeed is out of contract at the end of the season. Is he another Eddie Byram? Well, they did both get hundreds on Sunday, where he would flourish in a Division 2 side and the watered-down One-Day Cup. Or do you think he has a shot at being our opening championship batter? Has he improved enough?
Well, we don't know. I mean, he obviously has improved, but we don't know what he's going to be like opening the batting against Kyle Abbott at the Judicious Bowl on a damp morning in early September. And the only way you're going to find out is by giving him the chance, and he's earned the chance.
Yeah, I think he's earned the chance probably to open in at least the first 2, if not all 3 of those games in September.
I guess the interest, not that I've got any sort of inside information on this front, but I guess with the contract situation, it could be quite interesting because another county could have been watching Metro Bank and think, hold on a minute, here's a guy that doesn't play T20 cricket who potentially could. Here's a guy who hasn't been able to nail down a championship spot, but clearly might. So who's to say that a county isn't going to come in and offer him a 3-year contract to play all formats? And
just say our neighbours just up the road, for example.
So,
Are you suggesting a bidding war is?
They could an IPL style auction for the services.
Well, yeah, that's a really good point. That hadn't crossed my mind at all. That, of course, we haven't got a God-given right that he's going to sign any contract that we put in front of him, have we?
And I stress that is a pure, that is based on absolutely no inside information whatsoever. That's just me.
No, but he has put himself out there, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And he's never going to pay a T20 for us, probably.
Well, we probably said that about Sean Dixon in April, and then he put his top scorer in the semi-final and the final. So you never know.
You never know.
Tom Abel never looked like a T20 player in sort of 2016, 2017, and he's developed his game to do it. So, who knows? But
it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Railway, I'll take you back to the point I made about once you got confidence breeding confidence, and I think going out if you'd said before the start after 3 games, if you'd have put him up against Abbas and Abbott and Barker and all that lot down at the Ageas Bowl, he wouldn't have had a shot. But now he's scored all these runs in the One Day Cup. The guy's flying. I think give
him a chance.
Certainly, Hampshire.
Ben, what's the news on Craig Overton? Do we know?
No, not too sure. I mean, I was only hearing sort of a few bits online about how he kind of limped off. Not good.
I was watching it because I do watch the 100 when Somerset players are featuring in it, and he bowled really well. But about 20 minutes after he finished his spell, it tightened up and he went off, and it looked like a hamstring, which is it's not good.
The only thing I'd say about Craig is that he only ever goes off if he's properly, he's sort of a warrior when it comes to sort of bowling through pain and things like that. So I haven't seen it, and
Let's hope that's just for Somerset and England. Let's hope he's just boxing a little bit clever and thinking, we got 3 big championship games in September. I don't know. Who's he playing for? The green ones, is he?
Yeah, what are they called? Southern Brave.
Southern Brave.
Right?
So yeah. So let's hope Craig just being a little bit sneaky and wandering off with a precaution in mind to keep himself or get himself fit for September's championship run-in. John Hayes is Andy Umeed our player of the season, given his stellar performances in the One Day Cup, eclipsing not only his teammates but every opponent too. Context taken into account. I did reply to John on Twitter about this before. I think James Rue and Matt Henry would probably have a few claims to Player of the Year, but certainly in terms of unexpected performances and that sort of thing, and things taking you by surprise, I think it's performing what they call it, punching above your weight. I certainly think he's
breakthrough Player of the Year.
Breakthrough Player of the Year. Yeah. Have we got a golden apple for that?
Wow.
We ought to have.
That's coming up in a few weeks, isn't it? God, doesn't time fly? This means I'm going to have to listen to last year's golden apples to remember what the categories are before I send them all out again. But I would think Andy Umeed is, if you're a betting man, it would be a strong favourite for the One Day Cup Player of the Year. Going back to things being named after parts of the ground being named after people. Neil B says, what part of the ground should be named after Andy Umeed? I think that's slightly tongue-in-cheek. And any news on Lewis Gregory's contract situation? Poker face Warren, he's there again.
I don't know.
I'm sure.
Nottinghamshire are very acquisitive.
Yeah, they developed their own Gibbo, honestly.
They've quite a few already, haven't they?
When have you ever heard of Nottinghamshire poaching a player from another county, Anthony? Come on.
That's all they ever do.
Stop being so ridiculous. Harry Hayden wants a Q&A with the CEO, Gordon Hollins. He's been very quiet of late. I do know had a bit of a car shunt at the weekend. but I gather everyone's all right. Q&A with the CEO. Well, to be fair, I play devil's advocate. They are quite regular events, the Q&As with Gordon and Peter and Sir Michael Barber, the chairman. So, it's... I guess no news is good news while you're in the middle of the season. There's plenty to be getting on with, and is there any more member Q&As on the horizon, Ben?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're quite difficult to do during the one-day cut, just because of the timings of the day and those members forum and that. We have a members forum on the 20th, so day 2 of the Kent game, and that's also going to be made hybrid. So for people that aren't at the ground,
that's the first one, isn't it?
We've had a dedicated digital one, and now we're going to do a hybrid one.
That's right, first hybrid one, yeah.
Yeah, which basically means I've got to run all the live stream equipment over in the 10 minutes after we go off air to the county room, which I'm sure will be fun. But yeah,
couldn't you just get everybody up to the press box and say, look, this is going to be a hell of a lot easier for me. Just stand shoulder to shoulder. It might get a bit hot. I'll stick the aircon on. It might be a bit cramped, but it's better for me. Fair dues. So that's 20th on the second day of the Kent game. Or if you would like to put your questions to Gordon Hollins in person after a few glasses of cider or indeed champagne, you can do so at the end of season dinner, which is happening on the 5th of October in the county room at the Cooper Associates County Ground. Tickets are available online. Just go to the website for that. So, yeah, I'll do promotion as well.
Very good.
Can I just give a big up, thumbs up to Gordon Hollins. I think the way Somerset have presented the One-Day Cup is a lesson to every other county in the country. We're combining it with the Beer and Cider Festival, with Family Day, and all of the rest of it. They really have made the very best of that opportunity and been rewarded with some tremendous crowds. It's when you compare, Ben will know this, but up at Wantage Road, there was it was about 1,200 people there.
We have been lucky with the home games though. They were Fridays and Sundays, so we may not be so lucky next year.
Somerset have made the very best of a not very good job in terms of the team that we were able to field, and there's been a great atmosphere there, and I think spectators have really enjoyed it. It's just a pity that they don't get to see the first team, and that's what we've got to work towards for next year. They've got to see the first team playing 50 over. If we're going to have 50 over cricket, it's got to be contested by the best players in the country.
Just to throw devil's advocate there, but if that was in April, would that then mean a lot of these people that have been coming wouldn't?
Well,
possibly.
I
think it all depends on the weather. I think the weather's been.
But if the 100 is going to, 100 or the 100, whatever replaces the 100 is going to monopolise August, that just takes August out the equation, and we just got to work around that and make the best of a bad job in terms of the fixture list. But nothing is worth trying to run a competition alongside the 100 when Somerset are missing 9 of their best players. It's pointless and devalues the whole thing.
So that basically means if you're not going to run anything alongside the 100, you're going to have to get rid of the 100.
No, you don't. Well, yes, quite. Well, they are talking about that. They're talking about, some sort of blast 100 combination. Somerset doesn't have a stake in the 100 at the moment. If we did have a stake in the 100, I think attitudes in these parts, or whatever replaces the 100, the top level English franchise, whatever it looks like. Did you see the interview with Josh Butler in the Times, saying he wants the English franchise competition to be second to the IPL? But he said it wasn't bothered whether it was the 100 or a T20 version of it. But he wanted to see, a English franchise competition that is second best in the world. And that, I think, is what the ECB will be working towards.
Well, what
is... How they're going to combine it with counties, I don't know.
I mean, what is the premier short form competition in England at the moment? You can't have two, can you?
Well, the 100 is.
Yeah. So why is the Blast going then? Do you know what I mean? It's like you can only really have
That's
one,
why
can't
I'm
you? There's
talking
only
about
one
100
yeah.
Blast hybrid.
Yeah.
There's got to be some sort of coming together between the Blast and the 100.
Should we get Don Topley back on for another chat about this, and then we can record a 7-hour podcast like we did the other day? Yeah. We'll finish off with one from friend of the podcast, Andy Cleve. Then, apart from Andy Umeed, what were the other positives in the One Day Cup? Thought both Thomas brothers showed promise. Ned Leonard, of course, we haven't spoken about old Ned Leonard this week. Getting a run of games can only be good for his development after injuries held him back. I did notice Andrew Rad called him old Ned Leonard when he came out to bat in the.
Wherever I have been, my co-commentators have said, "Oh, what a lovely name, Ned Leonard." That's Somerset in a name.
Oh, Ned Leonard. Of course, he's not, is he? He's Edward Leonard from Middlesex. But I suppose since he came across down the M4, he's acquainted himself with a fine West Country name.
Yeah.
And then just more memes. Hashtag memes. There we go. Have a look at those if you've got 5 minutes to spare, or even create your own. Just Google meme generator, and we'd gladly be glad to see your Andy Umeed memes.
I would find I could give a shout out to Sean Dixon. For his kind of leading the troops, and I hope that there'll be and I know this is quite a different scenario, but with Ben Green, you saw the captaincy really sort of help elevate his stature from last year's One Day Cup, and I hope that will work with Sean. I hope now, having been captain, he really feels part of Somerset County Cricket Club, and it'll help him score runs in the other formats, a little bit like how it helped Ben Green in the other formats. So I think he's done as good a job as humanly could be done. I think he's been very open and honest with his interviews. So I would say that.
Do you not think the players have slightly missed Tom Abel's style of captaincy? Sean Dixon is much less interventionist than Tom. I mean, Tom is rushing around all the time, clapping his hands, cheering them on, and
has he done much captaincy before though, Dixon? I mean, it felt to me like he was almost captain by default.
I really like Sean Dixon. He's given some tremendous, really, really good interviews. But I think Somerset have become so accustomed to the Tom Abel style of captaincy. It was the same when Josh Davey captained them, was at Northants a couple of years ago, and Josh Davey isn't sort of in your face type of captain, and they just didn't perform for him at all. And I don't know. He's such a nice man, Sean Dixon, that I hesitate to say a word against him. But he could just do with being a bit more interventionist as a captain. A little bit, fielding it a little bit closer in at short extra cover or short in wicket, and being at the fulcrum events in the way that Tom Abel is. Because that's become the Somerset style since Tom Abel took over the captaincy, and it was most noticeable in the Plague Year when there were no crowds, and Somerset were far and away the noisiest side in the country. They've never stopped out in the middle, and that was all led by Tom Abel, and I just think some of them perhaps miss that upfront leadership that Tom
potentially
provides.
But mind you, I suppose half that side probably wouldn't have even met Tom Abel that much, let alone played for a substantial period of time. So
he has sort of set the Somerset stamp of captaincy, and I don't know, but yeah, Sean Dixon. Yeah. I asked him yesterday whether Andy Umeed had deserved his chance to open the innings, and he's in the County Championship, with the obvious subtext, possibly at your expense. I didn't say that, and he said yes, of course. And that's the measure of the man. He's a really nice.
He's a straight talker, Sean Dixon. He'll give him that. Whatever you say about the guy, he'll give you a straight answer to a straight question.
Yeah. I just wish his shot selection was a little bit more.
Oh, you
judicious.
wish everyone's shot selection was a bit more judicious, Anthony.
Well, he gets in, he gets 20 or 30, and then he plays a really daft shot. Yeah.
But I think that would be great. You know, I think if the Ben Green model of giving himself extra confidence, stature within the club.
Yeah.
And I hope that happens for Sean as well. That he now feels like a senior member of the side, and he can take that into the other formats, and really go out and be a senior member at Somerset County Cricket for the next couple of years.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more with that. The only thing we do need to be wary about, they did speak about it a couple of years ago when all the guys came back from the 100, which would have been 20.
Half of them were injured.
21. Well, not only that, they said it was a pretty awful atmosphere. Not awful atmosphere, but it was a difficult adjustment for the guys who had been in the dressing room for the whole of August to then kind of integrate back in with the guys that were coming back from the 100. Trying to think what year that was. Was that the year where it was the...
Only been 2 years of it before 2021. I think.
So that would be 20... Was that when we had the funny group stage championship?
Yeah, we lost all 4.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, so we qualified and we had that shenanigans. Did we want to win or draw against Hampshire? And then we qualified first or second in our pool, and then we had a complete doomer in the September, didn't we? Yeah. Oh, it's all flooding back to me now. So that's gonna be another challenge as well, is just to integrate those two sets of players back together. But they've had 2 years of doing it now, and a lot of other sides are in a similar position. So, it's what you got to do.
Yeah, I think that, like you said, I think it is more familiar now, isn't it? And I think it was all a bit new and a bit fresh and a bit, this is weird in 2021, and now it's not just for the 100, but it's also other competitions. I think it's so common now in county championship changing rooms that people fly out, come back, do this, do that. Anthony Sneaver in Zimbabwe. Like, it is just a completely different thing where people come and go a lot more than they used to.
Yeah,
they definitely is. Speaking of people coming and going, what channel is this thing that Tree goes out playing in America, where he's playing for... Who's he playing for? The New Jersey Tritons?
Yeah.
In Miami, in the World this is the World T10 Masters, Gibbo, your favourite format.
Oh, God.
I
only watched it because I had COVID.
Would Trigo a late replacement for Gautam Gambhir? Is that right?
Well, he phoned me up on the Friday before, because he was due on commentary on Sunday, and he phoned me up and said, "Oh, Ben, I can't make Sunday. I've been called up to play cricket in America." But he opened the bowling for this team. He's bowling at Aaron Finch and Jack Callis. So
if he's bowling to Jack Callis, good.
Well, did he get like 2 for 10 off his 2 overs or something like that in the first game?
But there's highlights on, if you type in US T10 Masters cricket, you'll find highlights of. I watched a 10-minute highlights package that showed Trigo hitting his winning runs and yeah.
Happy days. I'll do that as soon as I've finished compiling this very podcast. Then when's he back? Then I presume he's back. This is one of these tournaments that's done and dusted in about 5 or 6 days, where they play 3 or 4 games a day of this T10 stuff, and then it's done.
I've genuinely no idea. I mean, he's. I think he's back within a week, because I think he told me that he played club cricket on Saturday, then flew straight out, and he's straight back in Friday to play club cricket again on the Saturday.
Oh, busy man. Are you disappointed you didn't get the call to go out and commentate, Gibbo?
No.
You need to get the same agent as Trigo. You could be a package deal then. And appropriately, Anthony is frozen.
A kaleidoscope at the moment.
A what?
Kaleidoscope. And who knows what pattern is going to emerge from it.
Oh, right. So
And I'm not sure. I'm not sure how counties are going to be a part of it in the future.
Fair dues. Right. Are we all done for tonight, gents? Any other business? Or should we not get on the head?
I think that's all good from my side.
Good stuff. Right, we'll be back next Thursday. We'll have a look ahead to resumptions of proper cricket in the county championship. Somerset take on Hampshire. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch up with you next time.